Okay, so I've tried the blog thing multiple times, and it's not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. There are so many nights that by the end of the night, I don't have the energy to sit down and pour out this eloquent essay on what life with FASD is. It's too much. So we came up with the idea that I'll just do this. You know, it's really popular right now. People sitting in their car, sitting at home with a cup of whatever they're drinking and just saying it as it is. So that's what we're going to try. Of course, by we, I mean me, really. My husband will just be there to remind me. So you'll get this. You'll get me sometimes looking pretty. You'll get sometimes like this where I just am lucky to get my hair up in a ponytail before I head out for the day. And I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to be completely honest about what life is like raising children with FASD. If you don't know what FASD is, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Basically, people drink while they're pregnant, people being women, drink while they're pregnant. It affects the developing brain of their unborn child and causes lifelong disability, permanent brain damage caused by alcohol. There is no known safe amount of alcohol to consume while you're pregnant. And all you people are going to jump on here and say, I had wine while I was pregnant with my kid and they turned out just fine. Well, congratulations, good for you. That means your body metabolizes the alcohol differently than other women. You won the gamble. But are you willing to gamble again? I bet you wouldn't if you lived with my kids. So, some examples. The reason why this is called F and G FASD was not to imply that we're using the F word to describe FASD necessarily. I have two children that have FASD, and their names are Faith and Jeffrey with a G. And we often refer to them as F or G because I am a crazy woman who has 7 children and named her children in alphabetical order, and that way we just use their initial. Anyway, F and G, FASD. So F, Faith, is 14. Jeffrey with a G is 13. Jeffrey is more like a 5-year-old on his good days. And I try to be optimistic about this. I try to say, oh, hey, I've got the perpetual toddler with the wide open eyes and amazement at the world. But if you could imagine for a minute a temper tantrum on a 2-year-old, and totally tired, cranky, has had way too much sugar at that birthday party 2-year-old. They're kicking, they're screaming, they're throwing themselves on the floor, they're throwing their toys, they're mad. They might even, some of them, they bite, they hit. Goodness knows I've had my fair share of 2-year-olds. Now, put that same tantrum in a 13-year-old's body. And not just any 13-year-old, a 13-year-old who weighs almost 100 pounds, thanks to the medications he has to take. A 13-year-old who is out of control. A 13-year-old whose adrenaline is pumping through his body like the stinking Incredible Hulk. In fact, we refer to him often as the Incredible Hulk. It's dangerous. It's scary. But when he's not in those rages, he's the sweetest little boy, just like your 2-year-old, who you love to cuddle and kiss and hear their funny little thoughts on the world. But I am hit every single day with reminders that he's not a normal 13-year-old. So, for example, these are some silly examples of Jeffrey, my 13-year-old, and how his brain works. So we got one of those little spot carpet cleaners, and he was super excited, like, oh my gosh, a new toy. And you know, the whole Tom Sawyer bit where you're like, yeah, isn't this cool? You totally want to use this, don't you? So we promised him that he could be the first child to try out the carpet shampooer, and he was so excited to do so. So I pulled it out yesterday, and I wanted him to learn how to, like, first pre-treat stains, and then use the shampooer to suck up everything and clean it up. So I handed him a spray bottle, and I said, look for spots on the carpet to spray. Now listen closely to how I'm wording these things. So I said, look for spots to spray. He stood where he was, looked on the carpet, and just started spraying. Jeffrey, I said, look for spots to spray. I am. And he continued to just spray randomly on the carpet. And then it clicked in my head. Okay, Jeffrey, look for dark spots on the carpet to spray, because we have a beige carpet. It wasn't my idea. It came with the house. So, Jeffrey, look for dark spots to spray. Oh. So he starts looking around, and he's standing right next to a doorway. And you guys all know doorways are like, they get filthy with the carpeting. But he's just looking around, totally confused. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Jeffrey, look for dark spots on the carpet to spray. Because I'm over here trying to assemble and put together this brand new carpet shampooer thing. He's completely confused. He does not understand. And he finally comes to me and says, I'm not good with dark spots. It's like, oh. Dark? It's a matter of opinion. What's dark to one person might not be dark to another person. I needed to be very specific. So I walked over to a dark spot on the carpet, and I sprayed it. And I said, see? That's what you need to find. He still had a hard time. But he managed to find a few spots to spray it. Then it was time to show him how to use the carpet shampooer. So I held the nozzle in my hand. I said, first you spray. And, you know, I just kind of did it really fast. And then you scrub and suck up the water. See the water getting sucked up in there? And he was, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. So I hand the nozzle over to him, and I turn to go do something else. And I realized he's doing with the trigger just like he did with the spray bottle. He hadn't recognized the difference. So I had to go back over, take the attachment from him, and show him again. We spray in a pattern. We had to make a pattern, okay? And you see how the carpet gets darker where it's wet? And then we go back over and we suck up the water, okay? All right, I got this. And I let him just go, find spots, whatever. And he was so cute. I can't reach. Okay, well, see this? We can take the cord out and we can plug it somewhere else. I can't plug it somewhere else. Yeah, you can. You can do this. You can plug it somewhere else. And I didn't tell him exactly where to plug it in, so he got confused again. He was just standing there with the cord. I didn't tell him which outlet to plug it into. This is my 13-year-old son, who will never live on his own. Never. Because of FASD. So another funny one, we were at this event last night, which in itself is a big deal, being able to take Jeffrey out anywhere. And honestly, it's because we didn't have Faith with us, and I'll get to Faith in a minute. So we were at an event last night, and I was standing across a table from him. We were standing there with some friends eating, and he said, Mom, look at this. And I'm like, you know what? And he keeps walking forward, and he's like ducking down and walking right into the table. Did you see it? What am I supposed to be seeing? So he shows me again. He steps back a couple feet and walks, and he's scrunching down and head right into the table. Jeffrey, sweetheart, what are you trying to show me? And he does it again, and it finally clicks. He's trying to do that little trick that people do where they walk along the side of something and slowly get lower, so it looks like they're trying to walk down a set of steps. But in his brain, it didn't register the fact that he had to turn sideways and walk down like this. So with a little coaching, Jeffrey, turn your body. Now try it again. He was able to get it. But that's my son's brain. That's my son's brain. So, okay, I told you I was going to get to Faith. Faith, my darling Faith, my 14-year-old Faith, she is in a mental hospital because her intellectual abilities combined with her emotional abilities are so the word is dismaturity. She's mature in one level and not in another. So I have a nephew, and I won't say names, I promise. I have a nephew who gives his mom all kinds of trouble. And my theory on the reason why is because my nephew is extremely intelligent for his age. He's a little guy. He's less than 5. Extremely intelligent, but he has the correct emotional maturity for a child his age. So while his brain is racing ahead to, I can do this and this and this and this, his emotions aren't there with him. And so it causes a lot of issues in the home with his dysmaturity. And this is not due to any bad thing on my sister's part. She just had a super genius for a kid. Okay, well, maybe it's a little bit my sister and her husband's fault because they're both super geniuses. Anyway, so Faith has a dysmaturity where intellectually she is really smart, but emotionally she's not. And because of the fetal alcohol, she also has problems with impulse control. I know, you're like, she's a teenager. They're all impulsive. Yeah, she's not my first teenager. So they have problems with impulse control. She has problems understanding cause and effect. A classic story we tell people to explain Faith's logic is she and her sister were both given identical Easter baskets from their dad. Completely identical. Every piece of candy in there was the same. They got the same amount. So her sister, Dee, comes to me. That's not her name, my sister let her. So Dee comes to me and says, I think Faith took my candy bar. I'm like, okay. Common occurrence, unfortunately, in our house where Faith just takes what she wants. So I go to Faith and I say, since you took your sister's candy bar, and there was, at that point, there really was no denying. The candy bar wrapper was found in her bed, which was a common hiding place for her. So I said, you need to replace that with some of your candy. But why? She didn't understand why. I said, well, because you ate your sister's candy. And this, granted, this is a 12-year-old. This isn't a 3-year-old or anything like that. This is a 12-year-old at the time. She's 14 now. So I went to her Easter basket and I was going to let Dakota pick out something that she felt would be of equal value to replace the candy that her sister had eaten. And when we look in there's the exact same candy that she had stolen from Dee. And so I asked Faith, you already had this candy. Why did you take it from your sister? Well, I'm saving mine. Okay, why did you eat your sister's? Well, because she wasn't eating it. It never once occurred to her that maybe her sister might be saving it. As far as she knows, the minute she sees something and wants it, if nobody else's hands are on it, it's fair game. She would say the same thing about her sister's money. She'd take her sister's money and sneak it to school. And Faith, why would you take your sister's money? Well, she wasn't using it. You don't have to spend the money. Well, she wasn't using it. And in Faith's mind, she wanted something, therefore the money was available to her because Dakota wasn't using it. So this daughter of mine is currently in a mental hospital. Has been in and out of mental hospitals since about May. She got it in her head that cutting herself would be a good way to get attention. The reason why she got it in her head is because a well-meaning, but we'll just go with well-meaning. We'll just go with well-meaning teacher decided to give Faith a book, even though it's right there in her 504 plan that Faith gets nothing unless mom approves. He thought, well, Faith has mental illness. I'll give her a book about another girl who has mental illness and overcomes it. And this girl's problem happened to be self-injury or cutting herself. Faith only got halfway through the book. She only got through the part where this girl's cutting herself and she's getting all kinds of attention. I should do that. So my daughter develops the habit of cutting herself. But unlike other people who cut themselves because of whatever emotional issue they are dealing with, and I don't mean to demean or belittle anybody who is dealing with that in their lives. My daughter would cut herself and then come to us and be like, I did this terrible thing. Look, I cut my arm all up. You should do something about this. You should pay some more attention to me. It's like, kiddo, you're homeschooled. You're the only one homeschooled. I think you're getting more than enough attention in this house. What are you doing? So it turns out that she got it in her head that if cutting wasn't enough, she was going to have to take it a step further. These words actually came out of my daughter's mouth. Now, she has not seen her adoptive father, my ex-husband, long time. It's a completely different story. I'm not getting into that. But she got it in her head that this would be a good way to get him to come visit her. And my daughter actually says to me, well, if I kill myself, Dad will come see me. Not thinking ahead to the fact that she'll be dead. She'll be dead. It won't matter if her dad comes to see her. She'll be dead. No, her thoughts were, if I kill myself. And they weren't just thoughts, because it came out of her mouth. If I kill myself, Dad will come see me. So my daughter is in a mental institution. And I'm going to try and end this on a lighter note, and then go in the grocery store and buy eggs, because we need them. Okay. So I got a phone call from the hospital last night. And it was 9:30, and I was like, this better not be her, because she should be in bed. And it wasn't. It was part of the staff, one of the head staff, letting me know that my daughter had been caught with contraband in the gym. Contraband. What on earth could she have gotten her hands on? Well, it turns out my daughter had smuggled a spork into the gym. Spork. That's what life is like in a mental hospital. They only serve these patients with sporks. They don't get forks and knives. They get sporks. And these sporks are to be lined up on the counter after each meal and counted to make sure that nobody tries to sneak out with a spork so they can harm themselves. Oh no, my daughter smuggled a spork into the gym. And then the staff proceeded to, the staff person that called me, she's like, I know I might sound strict or mean, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, oh lady, you don't sound strict or mean at all. You don't. Trust me. I'm the mean one. If anybody's going to be mean, I'm going to be the mean one. And she goes, we've just really had a hard time with her not wanting to follow instructions and stuff. And like, she was doing flips in her bedroom, and I tried to tell her she couldn't do that in her room, and she was saying that she can do whatever she wants, and I'm trying to get her to understand that she has to follow the rules. And I'm just laughing, because if sporks and cartwheels are their biggest issues that they're dealing with her, just wait till she gets more comfortable. So that's your intro into my life with FASD. Who knows if this technique will work, but I do know the blogging thing wasn't working. And please, for the love of all things, don't ask me to write a book. Don't ask me to write a book. It's been asked. It's not happening. It's not happening. All right, I will answer questions if you have questions. If any of you are like, yes, I totally hear you, sister. I am totally in the same boat, and you want to be best friends. Who doesn't need a friend? Can't promise I'll be very available, but I could always use a friend. All right, create an awesome day.